It's me, it's Queen Osset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. All right, guys, so let me just give you some quick announcements. Sunday, 6/16/19 is our next live discussion, and we are going to be talking about the book Being Me, Loving You by Marshall Rosenberg. Okay, I read pages 11 to 18 to prepare for our discussion. So if you can read up to page 18, that would be perfect. All right, I can't wait because everything is going to be so cool. I got the chat going. It's going to be great. I can't wait to talk to you guys. 2, I am going on vacation. I'm not going to be uploading any videos from June 23rd until July 1st. The first one I'm going to upload is going to be on July 1st. I am going on vacation that whole week in Orlando, Florida. So the last announcement is if you are near or in Orlando and you want to meet up with me, I'm going to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter on the 25th. And I would love to hang out with you, ride some rides, drink some butterbeers, buy some souvenirs, So if any of you are interested, email me and I'll give you my information and what time and where I'll be. And we can all hang out at the Wizarding World. All right, so that is that. Now let me tell you today's question. The question says, how can an Aquarius get over a breakup? Now, it doesn't matter what your sun sign is for the advice that I'm going to give. But the first part of this is going to be specific to Aquarius. Okay? Because Aquarius have some specific behaviors that could cause this to be a problem. When you break up with somebody, when you get divorced, it's almost like that person died. Some people take it that hard, especially if you really truly love them. So a lot of times what ends up happening is you have to go through the 7 stages of grief. So we're going to talk about those, but that's any sun sign. But Aquarius, this part is really important. Aquarius, we have the tendency sometimes to be very unproductive with emotions that we don't want to feel. So instead of dealing with them like, head on, we will detach from them. We will ignore them. We will put them in a drawer someplace and just keep stuffing them in a drawer, right? And what ends up happening is when you get to be a certain age, if your drawer is full, it pops back out. The stuff that you're detaching from and ignoring, or if you get busy, we have a real tendency to make ourselves busy so that we don't have to deal with the feelings we don't want to feel. And that doesn't work forever. It might work for a long time, because it did work for me for a long time. But after a while, it stops working. And you know what happens? Everything you hid from yourself comes back to the surface and smacks you in the head. And you then have to deal with it anyway. So if I was you, I would just deal with it now. Just deal with it up front. Deal with each situation, Aquarius, as they happen, instead of detaching from them, ignoring them, compartmentalizing them, or some other kind of unhealthy behavior. Because they don't go anywhere. They're still there. And you're dragging that baggage from relationship to situation to you're just dragging it around. And what ends up happening is after enough of it has gone down, it changes you. You become very bitter. Some people become very frustrated, very angry. A number of different things come from that, but you never really escape it. So the smartest thing to do is just deal with it. You see what I mean? So that's what I'm offering you, Aquarius. This part is specifically for you because I know you. I know you very well. I know a lot of Aquarius, and many of us do this. We'll just stuff it in a drawer. We'll get busy with something. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to deal with it, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And if you're like me and end up having an emotional breakdown because something finally happens that just pushes you too far, and that can happen. Something can come out of nowhere. You have your heart so carefully guarded like I did, and something like Voldemort comes out of nowhere, and you're stabbed, you're bleeding. It is, you can't pretend like you're not. And so now you have to deal with everything that is gushing out of you that you didn't deal with before. So I just want to offer you that part, Aquarius, because it'll make it easier if you deal with each one on the one. If you deal with each individual hurt as it happens, instead of having to deal with them like I did all at the same time. Okay? So the next part is for everybody. Anybody who's going through a breakup, including Aquarius, is going to have to go through the 7 stages of grief. Like I said, it's like a death. In the first stage, you're going to be shocked because either you didn't know the breakup was going to happen, like you walked in and caught them with their secretary, for example. That's something like shock. Or you knew it was going to happen because it was gradually deteriorating. You just didn't know it was going to happen at that moment. Because many relationships die slowly, but you just don't know when it's going to take its final breath. And when it does, some people are in that shock phase. Then we go to denial. In this stage, people try to deny the inevitable. So it's like, no, we're not breaking up. We're going to work this out. Or it's fine that we're breaking up. I'm not hurt about it. Just denying the emotions, denying what's happening, denying the feeling of it. Then the anger happens because now you can't deny it anymore and shit just got real. So now you're pissed. You're getting divorced and you're mad. You're breaking up and you're angry. You're breaking their stuff. Y'all might be fighting at this point. You might be arguing. You might not be talking to them at all, but you may just have anger coming out of you, slamming things, having small accidents, punching a wall. Your anger will start to come out, and that's a lot of that bottled up emotion. And you're angry about it because you're starting to realize what's happening. Okay? So if you allow yourself to go through these phases, even though you're angry, anger is not a bad thing. Anger means that you have bottled up emotion. And if you can get it out in a productive way, instead of arguing with that person or breaking up their stuff, if you can, for example, go to the gym and beat on a bag, or get on the elliptical runner or run on the treadmill, just get the anger out of your body. That's just built up, pent up frustration and emotion. So if you can get it out in healthier ways, that would be great. Then you're going to get into the bargaining phase. So you're vainly going to seek a way to come out of this. How do I get out of this? How can I just, get away from this pain? How can I stop this? A lot of times this is when Aquarius chooses to detach and shut off and compartmentalize it. So instead of doing that, realize that it's okay to feel what you're feeling and just go ahead and feel it. In the next phase, you slide into depression. A lot of people at this point, it's inevitable. The divorce papers might be signed by now, or they might have just came in the mail. They might have moved out yesterday. You're in that depression space. The depression space may last a bit of time. You may find yourself crying. You may find yourself doing a number of things. You may be going between anger, bargaining, and depression. Sometimes we go through the up and down through the processes. Then finally, when you do come out of the depression, whenever that might be, you start to test the limits. You start to seek solutions. You start to do things along those lines. Well, okay, the relationship is over. What do I do now? Where do I live? Do I stay here? Do we sell the house? Do I move? Did this person walk out? Do you need to get a roommate because you can't make the rent? It's like, okay, now what? You've realized this has happened. Now you need solutions. Okay? And then the last part, you figure all this out. Everything, you figured it all out. It might take months or a year or whatever the case is. You know what you're going to do, and you start doing it. And day by day, you start moving forward. The moving forward part is acceptance. You've accepted it. You're okay with it. You're still alive. You got a new place by now. You're out of your depression. You figured out what life lessons this relationship has taught you. And you're ready to move on. And you're in a healthier space than if you had compartmentalized it or ran away from it. Okay? And the acceptance part, it's time for you to be with somebody else. It's time for you to move on. Now remember, these phases could take any amount of time. It could take you months, it could take you a few years. But as long as you're productively moving through the phases after a breakup, you're going in the right direction. So all I'm going to say is, regardless of what your sun sign is, going through the 7 stages of grief in a healthy, productive way is your best bet to get over a breakup and move on. When I was a young girl, we used to always say the best way to get over a breakup is to get under somebody else. But that's not a good idea. So if anybody gives you that advice, don't take it. Go through the 7 stages of grief. Because so many times that was my way of compartmentalizing it. I'd break up with somebody on Tuesday. By Wednesday, I had a new girlfriend. And we was at the movies. And we was moving on. But I hadn't gone through none of the stages of grief. All I did was compartmentalize it, put it into a drawer, and ignore it with a new person. That's not going to work either. You have to feel these feelings, express these feelings, and get over these feelings. That's the only way to get over a breakup. So if you or somebody you know has just broken up or they've gone through a breakup, please send them this video and give it a thumbs up because they definitely need to hear about these stages of grief. This model is from, what is his name? Kubler-Ross. This is the Kubler-Ross 7 Stages of Grief model. In case you want to Google it and take a look at it, it's online with a nice little diagram and everything, okay? But the bottom line is that this is the way to get to the other side. Okay, guys? All right, I hope that helps. It's time for me to get going. So, if you would like to contact me, all my information will be underneath this video. And likewise, if you would like to send me a love donation or a gift, that information will be under the video. If you want to be one of my patrons, that information will be under the video. And as always, please come back soon because I got a lot more to say. See you later.